Hello from Dhaka, this is Tarique Rahman and you are watching BSS News. At first, the headlines. Chief Advisor for Preventing Certification Fraud to Protect Reputation in Global Labor Market. Bangladesh seeks United Nations support for proper probe into Hadi killing. Dhaka hopeful for further US tariff cuts. Nearly 1 million law enforcers on guard for 12th February polls. Government publishes book on key reform initiatives. As a son of the area, I seek everyone's vote for Sheaf of Paddy, says Tarique Rahman. China to provide RMB 1.67 billion to Bangladesh. Framework agreement signed. Top Trump-Iran negotiators visit US aircraft carrier in Middle East. Now the details. Chief Advisor for Preventing Certification Fraud to Protect Reputation in Global Labor Market, Chief Advisor Professor Dr. Mohammad Yunus on Sunday directed the authorities to take effective action to stop forgery of skill development training certificates and the use of fake certificates to protect Bangladesh's reputation in the international labor market. He said there is strong demand for Bangladeshi workers abroad, but fraud linked to skills training certificates is damaging the country's image. He warned that if employers lose confidence, skill development efforts will fail and said all such fraud must be stopped. The chief advisor was addressing a meeting of the governing body of the National Skills Development Authority at his office in Tejgaon, Dhaka, according to the chief advisor's press wing. He called for building Bangladesh's brand image, saying employers should be confident that workers from Bangladesh will perform well. Professor Yunus said the National Skills Development Authority, formed in 2018, provides a strong framework for developing skilled human resources aligned with national and international labor market needs. This was the second governing body meeting following the first held in 2022. He expressed optimism that the authorities plan to introduce a unified standard certification system across training institutions would help prevent fraud. Referring to the youth, he said the young generation is creative and full of potential and called for creating opportunities through better coordination and transparency, including private sector participation. Bangladesh seeks United Nations support for proper probe into Hadi killing. The interim government has sought the cooperation of the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights to ensure a proper investigation and justice in the killing of Shohid Sharif Osman Hadi. Following instructions from Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the permanent mission of Bangladesh in Geneva sent an official note verbal to the United Nations Human Rights Office on Friday, 6th February, according to the Chief Advisor's press wing. Through the note, Bangladesh formally requested technical and institutional assistance from the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights to support the investigation into the killing. The press wing said the Ministry of Foreign Affairs will be informed immediately once any response is received from the United Nations Human Rights Office. The government reiterated its firm commitment to identifying those responsible for the killing of Shohid Sharif Osman Hadi and bringing them to justice. It also said the entire process will be conducted with the highest level of transparency and accountability in line with international human rights standards. Sharif Osman Hadi, the spokesperson of Inkilab Moncho and a key organizer of the July uprising, was shot on 12th December last year while traveling in a battery-run auto rickshaw in the Polton area of Dhaka. He was sent to Singapore by air ambulance for advanced treatment, where he died on 18th December. Dhaka hopeful of further US tariff cuts. Commerce and Civil Aviation and Tourism Advisor Sheikh Boshiruddin today said the government expects further reductions in United States tariff on Bangladeshi exports as negotiations continue ahead of a bilateral trade agreement. Addressing a press conference at the Secretariat, he said Bangladesh has already reduced a 37% United States reciprocal tariff to 20% and is pushing for further cuts, including zero tariffs on garments. To address trade uncertainty and reduce $6 billion trade deficit, he said the government has proposed purchasing 25 Boeing aircraft and other import liberalization measures. Sheikh Boshiruddin said B1 Bangladesh Airlines plan to buy buy 14 Boeing aircraft with negotiations underway and deal expected before the election. Nearly 1 million law enforcers on guard for 12 February polls. The interim government has launched an extensive security plan ahead of the 13th Jatiyo সংসদ elections and referendum on 12th February, deploying around 1 million law enforcers nationwide. Home Advisor Lieutenant General retired Mohammad Jahangir Alam Chaudhary said the government has zero tolerance for violence, with all law enforcement agencies on high alert to ensure a peaceful and credible election. He called on political parties and citizens to cooperate, assuring that every voter will be protected. Security forces including police, army, navy, border guards, RAB, Coast Guard, Armed Police Battalion, Ansar and VDP and BNCC cadets will cover nearly 43,000 polling stations and 260,000 polling booths across 300 constituencies. Special attention will be given to metropolitan areas, Chittagong Hill Tracts and remote regions. Border Guard Bangladesh and the Coast Guard will strengthen border and coastal security, while cyber and social media monitoring has been intensified. Central coordination and emergency response teams under 999 will operate round the clock during the pre-poll, polling and post-poll period. Authorities expressed confidence that the election will be conducted in a peaceful, festive and transparent environment. Government publishes book on key reform initiatives. The interim government has published a book titled Reform Book outlining major reforms undertaken since August 2024, the Chief Advisor's press wing said this morning. The press wing said the reforms follow the July uprising, when millions of Bangladeshis, led by young people, demanded an end to authoritarian rule. The interim government, headed by Professor Dr. Mohammad Yunus, inherited a deeply broken state marked by corruption, economic collapse, politicized law enforcement and a compromised judiciary. To address the crisis, the government immediately set up reform commissions with experts from relevant fields and rolled out wide-ranging legal and institutional reforms. In 18 months, it enacted about 130 laws and took over 600 executive decisions, with roughly 80% already implemented. The reforms have strengthened the economy and foreign relations. Key achievements include the trade agreement, strategic cooperation with China, reduced U.S. reciprocal tariffs from 37% to 20%, and recalibrated relations with India. Accountability measures have begun, with anti-corruption cases filed, billions of dollars in assets frozen, and reforms introduced in banking, procurement, and statistics reporting. Law enforcement has been disciplined, with over 1,200 officers suspended and human rights training introduced. Judicial independence has been restored, placing courts under the Supreme Court and introducing merit-based judge appointments. The Rapid Action Battalion has been restructured and renamed Special Intervention Force. Politically motivated cases against journalists have been dropped and media freedom re-established. As a son of the area, I seek everyone's vote for Sheaf of Paddy, says Tarique Rahman. Bangladesh Nationalist Party chairman and Dhaka 17 candidate Tarique Rahman today campaigned at ECB Chottor in the capital, seeking votes as the Sheaf of Paddy candidate. He described himself as a son of the area, saying he grew up there and his family has deep roots in the community. He appealed to mothers, sisters and brothers to vote for him in 12th February election. Tarique Rahman pledged to transform Dhaka into a safe and clean city where women and girls can move freely and people can conduct business safely. He also promised to build 40 playgrounds for children and elders and to widen the road from ECB Chottor to Joshimuddin. The rally, held in front of the BJ Tower, drew thousands of party leaders, activists, and residents. Supporters waved the Sheaf of Paddy symbol, chanted slogans, and wore campaign t-shirts. Law enforcement agencies tightened security and conducted searches at key entry points. Over the next 2 days, he will participate in 14 public rallies in Dhaka, concluding his final election campaign tomorrow, 9th February, in Dhaka South City and his constituency. China to provide RMB 1.67 billion to Bangladesh, framework agreement signed. A framework agreement worth RMB 1.67 billion was signed today between the governments of Bangladesh and China for the procurement of 4 new vessels. The deal provides concessional financing at 2% interest with a 20-year repayment period, including a 5-year grace period. Mohammad Shahriar Kabir Siddiqui, Secretary of the Economic Relations Division, and Yao Wen, Chinese ambassador in Bangladesh, signed the agreement on behalf of their governments. A loan agreement will follow shortly. Under the project, Bangladesh Shipping Corporation will purchase 2 crude oil mother tankers and 2 bulk carriers. The vessels will increase shipping capacity for oil and essential bulk commodities, supporting the country's energy security and national development. Top Trump-Iran negotiators visit U.S. aircraft carrier in Middle East. United States President Donald Trump's lead Iran negotiators, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, visited the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier in the Arabian Sea on Saturday, the U.S. Central Command said. The visit comes as Washington and Tehran prepare for further talks. Witkoff described the carrier and its strike group as keeping us safe and upholding President Trump's message of peace through strength. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said he hopes talks with the United States will resume soon, while reiterating Tehran's red lines and warning against any attack. The first round of indirect talks between the two sides was held in Oman on Friday, with both sides calling it a good start. The USS Abraham Lincoln arrived in the Middle East in January amid heightened tensions following Iran's crackdown on anti-government protests and last year's collapse of nuclear talks after Israel's bombing campaign triggered a 12-day conflict. That's all for now. For more information, visit bssnews.net. Thanks for watching.